So I binge watched Stranger Things season 5 part 1 yesterday. Now this isn't really a review as much as just observations. First, as a 48-year-old man, there is this constant feeling when I watch Stranger Things like I shouldn't be watching this. This is like a children's soap opera. It's kind of weird watching like Holly, the young Wheeler kid, playing dress up and wearing dresses. It feels a little creepy watching that stuff. And then watching little teenage romances. Like, what am I doing? It occurred to me that the show is really not very creative as much as it's like just a collage where they just basically take everything from every movie, not only including the 80s, but lots and lots of movies, and they just redo them. No, they're very good at it, but still it's just not creative. They're always taking from something else. It also occurred to me that this show is very, very shallow, but that doesn't change the fact that it's good for what it is. It's very good at what it does. And I think in the first episode they mentioned Gatorade, and I was born in 77, and I was thinking, was Gatorade even popular in 87? Because that's when this show is set. And I'm not sure, because they make mistakes sometimes. I think in season 3 they had Ultra Magnus from Transformers. There was like a toy, and I'm pretty sure Ultra Magnus, the Transformers movie, hadn't come out at that time. I was also conscious of how they constantly, every season, they have basically like the entire cast be split up into different groups, which is effective. I have no problem with it. And so this season it's the two gay kids, Maya Hawke, I forget what her name is on this show, and little Will Byers dealing with their gayness. And this season you got Hopper and Eleven doing their own little plot. And then the other groups, there's like Joyce's group, and then there's, I forget all their names. The Steve Harrington group. I lose track of who's on which group. It was very hard to remember. Like, they're together, okay. A lot of the characters, it feels like they've got nothing to do, which is expected because there's just so many characters. They all seem to have somewhat of a little story going on. Like the black boy, he's worried about Max, and then you got Will Byers is dealing with being gay. You got the main kid, Mike. I don't think he has any story. Dustin's dealing with bullies, and then there's the love triangle between Nancy and Steve Harrington and the Jonathan kid. And then you got Nancy dealing with her parents getting injured and Holly, their sister, getting kidnapped. I find it a little bit silly how coincidental it is how everybody's related to each other. You're going to find out, I guess, that Nancy and Jonathan are brother and sister. So they've been having a romance, but they're probably brother and sister. We're probably going to find out that Linda Hamilton is the sister of the doctor, the evil doctor, Papa. It had like kind of a Matrix feel towards the end with Will Byers, doing the Matrix stuff, like freezing things and shit. It's kind of getting a little bit, what do you call it? Cliched, if that's the word, cliched or cliche. Well, the whole show really is cliche. That's kind of the whole point of it, so I guess it's redundant to say that. And I gotta say, how many times does Eleven have to bleed from her nose before she has an aneurysm? It's not a good sign when you're bleeding from your nose, just like it's worse if you're bleeding from your ears, but still. Also, how did Henry Creel go to high school with Joyce and all the gang and Hopper when he doesn't look like he's their age? I always thought Henry Creel was sort of in the generation of, Steve Harrington and them. Or I thought Henry Creel was like a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old. I didn't think he was Joyce's age. The Wheeler father has always been a standout because he plays just such a boring, dumb father role. So he's a standout, the Wheeler father. It's kind of funny how all the main kids have grown so differently. Where Mike is like 10 feet tall, whereas Dustin's like 4 feet tall. I found it to be kind of anticlimactic when the little Indian girl shows up at the end. You know, the number, what's her number 7 or whatever number she is, because it's like the worst episode of the whole series. So I don't think anybody wanted to see her again. I gotta say, Will Byers, is that his name? Yeah. Ending up having the superpowers is a little bit like out of nowhere. Where did that come from? Why now? I don't know. It seemed, and like now it kind of diminishes Eleven's powers. My biggest gripe though is that Vecna looks like Groot. Vecna looks exactly like Groot, and it looks silly. I don't know if this show cost. I heard it cost $1 billion this last season. This just season 5, and it the effects for Groot Vecna, I think they look terrible. But as this is only the first part of season 5, it's too early to make any real conclusions or to judge the show because we just don't know where it's going. We don't know if they can stick the landing, and that's what it's all about. The anticipation couldn't have been higher for this final season, so I give it some leeway. Like, it was going to be a letdown when you're this hyped up for something. So, but all in all, I would say it was fine. It was good Stranger Things. Yeah, there wasn't any standout amazing moments like the never-ending story scene from the previous season. Actually, that was season 3. Or the running up the hill thing. I hope they have a something cool, some amazing standout scene. It was kind of interesting that they played the Tiffany song. Most people don't know who Tiffany was. Well, Tiffany was the first little pop teenage kid. She was like 13 and she did that song. I think we're alone now. And that was kind of cool seeing that come up because that was pretty big around that time. Interestingly, the Duffer Brothers are actually younger than me. I was born in 77 and I think they were born in like 84. So actually I know a lot more about the 80s personally, experientially than they do. Like I was 10 during the events of this season. I also find it like it's a little weird or inconsistent how the Demogorgons one moment they you can't kill them with a machine gun, but then another time Hopper can cut its head off with a sword. Anyways, those are my immediate reactions. If you want me to write a more in-depth review, maybe I will. Rewatching it. I'm actually rewatching it. So that's all, and have a good day.